Hello, I'm Bo and welcome back to Bo's Books. Today I'm going to do a little bit of a vlog while I'm reading books for the Readathon Rebellion that is hosted by Mel of Melonor Reads. I'll go ahead and link her announcement video down in the description box, but really I just want to kind of practice doing a vlog and see how it goes. Wish me luck because vlogs are not easy. Ugh. Mel did say that there are 4 mandatory prompts on the board, so each objective is required, but she did say that you can combine the objective prompts with other prompts, so you're not obligated to stop when you hit an objective. You can still continue on and do the prompt that you land on, but you also have to do the objective. So you can do it either 2 separate prompts, or you can try to combine those 2 prompts and make them into one. So those are the ones that she said you can double up on, essentially. So what I'm gonna do is double up on my first roll because I did pass my first objective and I landed on a roadblock space. So I'm gonna choose a book that combines objective 1 with my roadblock prompt. Okay, so for objective 1, the prompt is, it's going to take the very best to get the Silent Spectre out alive and to stay alive yourself. Gather a team that you trust to help you accomplish this mission. Make sure you choose wisely. Read a book that has 2 or more points of view. And then the prompt that I got for the roadblock space is, as you're traveling through the forest, you come upon a river with nowhere safe to cross. Problem solved so your party can get across safely. Complete a reading challenge prompt or 2025 goal. Okay, so that prompt is super easy because basically every book on my September TBR is also being used for a challenge or a 2025 goal that I have. If you watch my TBR video, you'll know that I'm trying to do like a million different challenges, so I'm not even worried about that. So the main focus is going to be finding a book that has 2 or more points of view. So I'm really not excited that the only choice that I have to fit the prompts that I got is gonna be Piercing the Darkness. And it's not that I don't want to read that book, it's just I'm struggling to pick up a book right now, and that is the longest one on my TBR, I'm pretty sure. And it's also a second book in a duology, and I really don't remember everything that happened in the first one because I read it years ago. So I'm struggling with the motivation to want to read that one right now, but it's literally the only book that I have with a multi-POV. I cannot believe that every other book on my September TBR is from the view of one person. It literally leaves me with 0 options. So if I'm going to actually play the game, I'm gonna have to read that one. Now, I could choose a completely different book that's like not even on my TBR at all, but how is that gonna lower my stress?
So I had every intention of doing a proper check-in at 25%, but my husband ended up bringing me in and out for dinner, and I just got sidetracked watching Scott Pilgrim with him. So I'll just update you here. I feel like the book really starts off with a bang. You get really excited about the characters and what's going on, and it's already suspenseful right off the bat. But then you start getting introduced to so many different people that it becomes really hard to keep track of who's who and what's what, and it started getting really confusing and hard to follow. I feel like there's too many threads to keep track of, and I had to pull out a pen and paper to kind of jot down notes so that I wouldn't forget who everybody is. I also picked up the audiobook from Libby and bumped it up to 3 times speed because it's a really long book and I just want to get through it, and to be honest, I'm not super invested in the storyline. So far it's definitely not as intriguing as book 1, but I'm still gonna give it a chance because I really need this book to complete a bunch of prompts. But I don't know about this one. Honestly, if my mom didn't recommend it, I would have probably DNF'd it by now.
Okay, I made myself a cozy little spot in front of my bookshelf. I have completed this book. It's a wonder how quick you can get through a book when you put it at ×3 speed. I do not recommend unless you are really good at concentrating and listening to people talk like chipmunks. It definitely takes a little bit of getting used to when you have the speed up that quick. I personally don't like to speed up my books, especially not to 3 times. That is the fastest I've ever gone. I think usually I'll do 1.5 because I feel like at normal speed that there's like too many pauses and I get antsy and I'm like, oh my god, hurry up. 1.5 is usually a comfortable place for me. And then honestly, if I'm getting kind of bored with a book and I just want to get through with it already, I will end up speeding it up to 1.75 or even ×2. Listening to this at ×3 was a first. I was able to still understand, especially because I was following along in the physical book. Piercing the Darkness actually isn't as long of a book as I was thinking that it was. I think it's because I have this huge like 2-in-1 edition that I was just feeling super overwhelmed. The book is only about 433 pages, which is also why I was able to kind of get through it quicker than I thought. Okay, so I feel like I wanted to tell you a little bit about the book because I don't feel like I did a great job of telling you what I was reading. I kind of just jumped into it. So Piercing the Darkness is book 2 in a duology called The Darkness series, written by Frank Peretti. This book was published in 1989. The first book was published in 1986. It is a Christian fiction, horror, suspense, thriller, supernatural, spiritual warfare book all wrapped into one. And it is suspenseful. I will give it that. There was lots of plot twists along the way. Not that I thought they were great. A lot of it felt like too convoluted, and also other ones felt very obvious. But it did kind of keep you on your toes. It did keep things moving. There was things happening constantly. There was characters being introduced and organizations and secret cults and this and that. And so there was a lot to it. It was definitely action-packed, I would say. There was always something going on, some kind of conflict. It wasn't necessarily boring. The problem I had with it was that it was just confusing. To be honest, I think what threw me off was I hit like a roadblock early on in the book, and then once I hit that wall, I just couldn't really get past it, even though I continued the book, and I'll get into that in a minute. Right away, it starts off really interesting. You see this main character, Sally Rowe, and she is leaving the scene of a crime, and you realize that there is a dead woman in her shed, and Sally is fleeing. So right off the bat, you're wondering what happened. Did she kill this woman? What's going on? And I feel like a lot of the questions get answered really quickly. The author gives us the answer to that, but then he gives us another question to be asked, and then we get the answer to that, and then we get another question, which is kind of nice. You don't wonder for too long. And then there's other things where you're just wondering the whole book, what the heck is going on? I mean, very early on, you realize that there's these people that are after Sally. I just didn't understand why she was important. We were given this main character, and she's made out to be this very important person that needs to be taken out, but the whole time, I'm just sitting here wondering why. Why do I need to care about this person? What is special about this person? And we do see her dealing with her previous choices in life, and she's kind of overcoming her past, but I honestly felt like I didn't get enough of Sally. Like, I didn't really care about her because I didn't get her story right away. Her story unraveled as the book went on, which I guess is interesting because it's getting revealed, but I think it just got revealed too slow, because it wasn't until the very end of the book where I'm like, oh, this is why she's so important, or this is why I should feel for her, because I really didn't feel for her the entire time. I was just like, what is going on? Like, I really didn't feel how she fit into the rest of the story, because we also, right from the beginning, have Tom, and Tom's children immediately right off the bat are taken away from him. A social worker comes, takes his kids, and throughout the story we're watching as Tom is trying his hardest to get his kids back, and we find out that there has been allegations against him for abuse, and we are following that story with like legal battles. I kind of felt like his story was a little bit more prominent, and I knew more about what was going on with him than I really did with Sally. She was kind of just always running. One of the biggest aspects of this book is the spiritual warfare. So this book is primarily focused on good versus evil, where you get angels versus demons, and you get to see the earthly challenges through the humans, but then you also see above that, you get to see this spiritual realm of like demons versus angels, and they're battling it out behind the scenes. For me, I felt like that aspect was lackluster. I didn't feel like we got a lot of angels versus demons. I felt like we didn't get any big battle scenes, or we didn't get a lot of communication between the angels and the demons, and we didn't really get to know them as characters. I really felt like we got more of that in book one, and it was so much more appealing. We get so many books centered around demons, which is really interesting. Obviously, I love a good demon book, but you never really see books about angels. So I was kind of excited to see a book that was focused more on angelic creatures. But like I said, we didn't really get much of them in the story. They were very much side characters. Now, let's talk about the part that I don't really want to talk about, and that is the wall that I hit when reading the book that made me really not want to continue it, and probably just tainted the rest of the book for me. So, being that this book was written in 1989, there was a lot of satanic panic in this book, which is not a problem for me. I mean, I read The Exorcist, and that definitely had a lot of like satanic panic in it as well. I think that honestly just comes with the territory when you're reading a religious horror book, especially when it has to do with like demon possession. You get a lot of stereotypical portrayals of witchcraft or occultism, and there's a lot of like fear surrounding those things, which is part of the horror and part of the scare tactic. I mean, it works. I won't play with a Ouija board. You kind of understand what you're going to be getting when you kind of jump into like a religious horror novel. So the underlying theme of this story is that the Christian church is the victim being targeted by these big organizations who are essentially demon run, and they want to snuff out the good, and that's all fine and expected from a book like this. However, they started to touch on Eastern religions and how that is essentially inviting demonic activity for children into the school, and they started talking about how relaxation techniques and meditation are essentially inviting demons into our children's lives. And it starts to give that narrative, which I felt really uncomfortable about. I felt like that was very closed-minded and fear-mongering for those kind of practices, which are actually really good, calm, peaceful practices. And I felt like that was a very like satanic panic thing to say about these specific things. And I think it's different when you're describing these satanic rituals where they are murdering goats or babies and drinking their blood like that. Okay, I get it. That's like a typical characterized view of like a cult of people who are evil. But then when you're talking about school curriculum that involves meditation or mindfulness or relaxation techniques, when you start to like demonize those kind of things, that really rubs me the wrong way. It's hard to read a book with these kind of thoughts, especially in the political climate that we're in right now. So I really have to kind of go in with the lens of, you know, what I'm getting out of this and what I'm expecting out of this, and then take from it the pieces that I do find interesting and leave the parts that I don't necessarily agree with. I think that was the one part that I could have done without and honestly made me really want to DNF the book. I mean, this book also touches on corporal punishment, where the Christian school is spanking children, and then there's a whole controversial topic about that in the book. That didn't even bother me. I remember talking about that in my child development class, and we did have a debate on, you know, who believes that spanking is okay and who doesn't. I also feel like the ending was really anticlimactic. Like, we have this long book and all these threads, and then finally the culmination of everything just kind of slowly fizzled out instead of like this big battle or something at the end. It's hard to really say a lot without giving it away because there are a lot of things that get revealed. I feel like in book one, we got more of how the supernatural realm was infiltrating into the earthly realm and kind of affecting each person, and I feel like we just really didn't see that in book two. So yeah, I guess I'll just leave it at that. I feel like if I continue, I'm just going to keep talking in circles, but it was okay. I wouldn't really recommend it. I mean, overall, if I had to rank it right now, I'd probably give it like a 2. I feel like if I have to speed up a book that much because I just want to get it out of the way, it's not a good sign. I am feeling really pressured because I feel like I do have to get through a lot of books this month. Like I was saying, this is on me, but that did also pressure me to want to speed it up. But the fact that I wasn't even that interested in the story to begin with, it made me want to speed it up even faster. So yeah, I think I'm just gonna leave it there and move on to my next role. Okay, so the next space I landed on was a side quest space. So this is what side quests are. The core team is working on freeing your leader, but there are many other tasks to be done. Help them out by completing the additional missions to make sure your leader is rescued. So I rolled prompt number 4. So this one says, yes, you may be diviners, but that alone may not be enough to get the Silent Spectre out alive. You're going to need weapons, and probably a lot of them. Raid the Order's armory. Read a book with a weapon on the cover. So that right off the bat was not a good prompt because I feel like books with weapons on the cover are usually fantasy books, and I don't think I have any fantasy books on my TBR. But I did look through all the books that I have, and I was looking at all the covers. So you might think this is a stretch, but I am going to use it, and I am going to say that it is a clever, flexible use of this prompt. The Scald Crow has a cat biting into a bird's neck on the cover, so I'm going to use teeth as the weapon that is on that cover, and I'm going to read The Scald Crow for this prompt. I thought that was good. am recording this on my phone because I'm just too lazy to go get my camera. I'm laying in bed reading, and I just finished the first chapter of Scald Crow, and I just had to update you because it is so good. I'm like completely enthralled. I don't even know what to say. It's just so good. I'm loving it. I'm just like eating up the writing. It's creepy. It's engrossing. I feel like the descriptions are so good. I'm visualizing literally everything that's happening. I love her writing. It's really engaging, and I feel like I'm like right there in the scene. Like all the descriptions feel really realistic, and I feel like I can't help but like chuckle at certain moments because I think her writing's like kind of funny. I feel like this is not a good angle for me to be filming. I just noticed I'm like, hey guys. Okay, there, that's better. Anyways, I just wanted to check in like so brief because I want to keep reading, but I just had to tell you right away, like right off the bat, loving this, loving it. So I'm going to let you know what's going on, and it's chapter 1, so I feel like it's not really a spoiler, and a lot of this is already in the synopsis, but we have our main character, Breege. She is a chronically ill woman who is, she has like chronic pelvic pain, and she's just like exhausted from this pain that she has to deal with constantly. The book starts out with her moving back into her childhood home because her mother has been missing for the last month, and I guess she's been essentially proclaimed dead, but there's no body been found. She's just gone. So Breege is moving into this house because it's free, and she had been estranged from her mother, or I don't know if that's the right word, but she had been, she just no contact with her mom for the past, I don't know how long, but it's been a long time. She basically said since she graduated college, I believe, she just went no contact. So I think it's been like years. Other than that, she has a best friend named Emma, who is a lesbian. It's definitely clear that she has this crush on her best friend, but her friend is, you know, dating other people and whatever, and probably totally oblivious to the fact that her friend has a crush on her, I guess. So there's that little snippet too. And then also, what else is happening? She enters this house. There's this like really gnarly smell of like rotting. The descriptions of that are like bleh, so gross, so vivid. Oh, and then we get the nightmare. Okay, so like everything kind of like is set up in chapter 1. Oh, and the bird. Okay, let me talk about the nightmare first. So like so then she falls asleep at some point and then has this nightmare, and that's where we get introduced to the fact that she's had this same nightmare over and over again since she was a child. And she didn't have the nightmare anymore like when she moved away, but now that she's back in her childhood home, she's having the nightmare again. And the nightmare is of her mom, who she calls her mammy. When she first arrives at the house, she starts talking about this bird that she sees, and she's like, man, how long do these birds live? Because this is the same bird that's been following me since I was like 5 or 6 years old. I love the way the book is written because it's like she's talking to herself and you just get her like stream of consciousness, but it's so interesting. It's like you're right there in her mind and you just hear her like every thought, and I love it. It's fascinating to me. And then I also realized that I think she's an unreliable narrator. I feel like there's so many good, like, interesting moments that I want you to know why I'm, like, hyped right now. When she goes into the house, there's this, like, picture on the wall of Jesus, and she's like, oh, Jesus is watching me or whatever. And she's like, that's gonna be the first thing to go. I'm gonna take it to a cherry stop. She takes the picture down, puts it on the floor next to the door to the garage. And then she deals with the smell in the kitchen. And then later she goes back to the room and the picture of Jesus is on the wall again. And she's like, oh, I thought I took you down. That's weird. I could have sworn I took you down. So she takes it down again. And then she turns it around because it's like looking at her. And so she like turns it around. And I'm like, what? Like when that got her, I was like, wait a minute. Like, did she take it down? Did she not take it down? Like, what's happening? And then she kind of reveals, like, oh, this used to happen to me when I was a kid. Like, I misremember things. And so I'm just like, what's real and what's not real? And I remember reading about that in the synopsis. So can you trust a sick woman or something? And it's just like, that's interesting because now it's like, what's going on in her mind? Like what's real and what's not real. So this is, I'm already like so intrigued, so fascinated. I like I have to keep reading. I literally just finished reading The Scald Crow, and I just had to jump on and immediately share my thoughts. It was so powerful for me. I feel like I'm really still trying to gather my thoughts because I feel like I feel so many things from reading this book, and there's so much to say about it. I feel like I want to do it justice because reviews are so important, especially for a debut novel. I feel like what I'm going to say is so important to get the message out there and to like really tell you what I'm feeling about this book. But I think this is a really powerful book, especially for anybody that has a disability, for other people that don't have disabilities and want to read about the perspective of somebody with a disability, especially a chronic invisible disability. Even if you don't experience the same kind of illness or pain that this main character experiences, I feel like I was able to resonate with her so much with my own experiences. It just, there's a lot of crossover when it comes to illnesses and diagnosis and pain and dealing with health insurance or work-related disability or having to see doctors or therapists. There's a lot in this book that you could relate to if you've ever been through anything similar to that experience. And I think it's so validating to read books that showcase different perspectives and points of view. And I feel like I'm getting emotional because I was like, wow, I've never read a book with a main character that had a disability before, period. I've said this many times, I'm barely getting back into reading, so I'm really starting to broaden my horizons when it comes to different books and different experiences and different points of views. So it was really cool to finally read a book with a main character who had a disability, especially an invisible illness, because I feel like that is something that I related to a lot. I could not say I relate to the pain that this character has experienced. I can't even imagine going through what she experiences, and also the finding out at the end in the author's note that the author too experiences similar things that this character has gone through, which I suspected since she was able to write it so well. I was like, man, this author probably knows what this character is actually feeling, and it's probably coming from a lot of real life experience that she's had. And my God, like how resilient and strong this woman is, because wow, because the hurdles that this main character goes through in this book is a lot. And aside from the disability, I have to say this author is hilarious. Her writing is so funny to me. I think there was so much humor in this book. This book deals with so much. The main character is dealing with trauma, abuse, self-deprecating thoughts, her constant pain, her dealings with, people that are not believing her when it comes to what she's going through and having to, internalize that. And, she's going back and forth with, is she just imagining everything? Is it real? Can she believe herself? This book is also a quick read because it was a page turner. I just could not put the book down. I wanted to keep going. And I mean, I did take a couple days to read it, but every time I did pick up the book when I had time to actually read it, I just couldn't break my attention away from it. Usually I struggle reading physically without an audiobook. I will say that this book, I didn't even need the audiobook. I was having no trouble with comprehension or focus because I was so enthralled with the story. It was easy to read, easy to understand, and it had me wanting to flip pages constantly to find out what was going on. I was so enamored with what the heck is going on with this woman. I need answers. And so the nice thing about it was the chapters weren't too long, so I could kind of get through a chapter and be like, okay, just one more chapter. She is next of kin, and so she gets to go live in her mom's house. And being that she doesn't have any money and can't support herself at the moment, because she's lost her job due to her disability, she decides to take the house and go live in it. Every chapter is a day. So it starts with day 1 is chapter 1, and it goes on to day 13, and then the last chapter is titled day whatever. And so really you're getting the first 13 days of her moving back into her childhood home and everything that she starts experiencing from when she was a kid starts happening to her again. Like these nightmares that she used to have when she was younger, these reoccurring horrible nightmares are coming back to her, and she's having really bad sleep. We're also following her going through moving into this home, which means she has to do a lot of cleaning and reorganizing of space. She has to get rid of a lot of things and cleaning out like old rotten food left in the refrigerator, because remember, her mom has disappeared, so she kind of just left everything as it was in the house. And she's doing this whilst going through this immense pain in her abdomen, where she can barely move without popping ibuprofen or eating edibles to really just get her on the level of being able to survive the day. It was just amazing for me to read about a character that felt so real and tangible. Even the way she spoke. There was moments in this book where she was like racing to the bathroom because she had diarrhea and she was talking about it. This character was real and raw. The author did not shy away from her descriptions of what it felt like to go through what she was going through, the bleeding, the diarrhea, the constipation, the nausea. It was all in there. You know, when you're reading a book or watching a movie and you never see characters use the bathroom, do I want to know about characters having to use the bathroom in every book? No, I don't. But in this book, it made so much sense. And I'm glad she didn't shy away from those. It felt like such an important topic to be included in this book, because you get the gravity of what the main character is experiencing in her day-to-day life. And then you just have so much more respect for her. And you wish that she could see herself as strong and resilient as you see her as a reader. That's how I experience. I was like, man, she is so strong. I couldn't even imagine having to do all those things. And to see her cleaning this house while having this immense pain, I can't even clean my house without the pain. You know, so I just had so much admiration for her being able to do all the things she was doing. Now, we also have the topic of child abuse and what it was like for this character to grow up being abused by her mother. And in the story, we see how she has dealt with that and how it's manifested into her life as an adult, how it affects her self-esteem or lack thereof, her confidence or lack thereof, and how she responds to other people in her life, and how she is constantly self-deprecating because she has been told constantly over and over again that she is worthless. I'm trying to make sure that I say everything that I want to say, because this is definitely not like a thought out review or anything. I literally just finished the book and opened the camera because I just wanted to start talking about it. You ever just like finish a book and you're like, oh my God, that was amazing, I just want to tell somebody? I also wanted to let you know that the way that I even found this book and requested the ARC is because it's published by Creature Publishing. Creature Publishing is my favorite publisher that I found in January of this year after reading Goddess of Filth by V. Castro. I read the publisher's little blurb in the book and I fell in love with everything they stood for. It says Creature Publishing was founded on a passion for feminist discourse and horror's potential for social commentary and catharsis. Our definition of feminist horror, broad and inclusive, expands the scope of what horror can be and who can make it. So when I read that after reading Goddess of Filth, I was like, I need to look at this publisher and see all the books that they have published or will publish, and I need to read all of them because they are just in line with my taste. Like, so far, so good, okay? I haven't read every single one. I'm still making my way through it. But so far, every book that I've read that has been published by Creature has been a 4 to 5 star read for me. It is completely in line with the kind of books that I like to read. And the writing of these authors has been amazing. Like, it's the kind of writing that really touches my soul and clicks with my brain, and I just absolutely am enamored by these authors that they have found. But anyways, if you are excited about reading The Scald Crow by Grace Daly, I highly recommend you keep an eye out. Her book is getting published October 17th of this year. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and end here. I know I only got to 2 rolls and 2 books in this vlog, but that's okay. I am excited to keep rolling and participating in the Readathon Rebellion. I do think I'm probably going to keep playing into October because I want to say there's no way that I'm gonna finish the entire board in September at the rate I'm going. It is already September 15th and I have only read 2 books this month, so yeah. I still feel like I had a really good week. I've been having a lot of fun recording and editing and reading and going to book events, so I really can't complain that I've only got 2 books read this month because I'm enjoying myself, so it's okay. I'm definitely falling behind when it comes to the books that I intended to read for September, but the month is not over. I still have time. I'm gonna turn off this camera, get back to it. I hope you enjoyed the vlog, and I'll see you next time. Bye!